Hey, good morning. Welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. It's like 8 a.m. though, but it was an interesting morning. I'll share some of those experience with you today. And it's getting a little chilly. I thought I'd wear my 5 a.m. Mester Scrum t-shirt today. It's still a little chilly out, not quite warm enough yet. So it's good. But soon we'll be selling t-shirts and little add-on stuff for people with the t-shirts and mugs and coffee mugs and after I finished all my taxes the other day. But anyway, that's not the story. Tonight, we have Jennifer Steelman. She's going to be talking Kanban in our 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Meetup activities. And I should put a link up there. So tonight, we have it at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jennifer's going to be on, talk about Kanban, do some of the exercises, a part 2 from our one we did before. Hope you can join us. We've got a nice little crowd. Should be pretty good. We'll experiment and see how good I have the system running this time. I think I figured everything out. So we're going to see how well I progressed. And with that note, I had some stories I was going to talk about today. Different things that were coming up. I'm working on some stuff for my teams. And my neighbors telling me a story about an agile coach or Scrum Master. I don't know. They came into organization and says, "Oh, we're not going to do Kanban anymore. We're going to do Scrum." And he's describing what this person did, the transition over to Scrum. I'm like, oh no, that's not what you should do. No, that's not good, because what I'm going to share today is that the system you use, whether it be Jira, Azure, Rally, it doesn't care. It's a database. And the UI interface is what changes. Your backlog should be the same. And what they did was make it more work, more admin. The classic agile accountant came to town and made them do all kinds of stuff and threw out stuff that they didn't need to throw out. And now they got to redo work all over again and rethink how they do it. So I want to talk a little bit about transitioning from Kanban to Scrum, or you can go Scrum to Kanban, either way, and some tips on how to make that transition a little bit more manageable. And I'm going to cover a couple of things. I'm going to talk about the tool, and I'm going to talk about what it really is. So it's a 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I'm Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach, and here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a very practical and tactical way. So you can bring value to your customer, not mess around like the Agile coach, the Agile accountants want you to. So you can bring work, deliver value to the customer, not work extra hard to get that value, and have a little fun along the way. So again, Jennifer's going to be here tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you go to our meetup.com site, you can register. By the way, just a reminder, there is a Zoom link in there. In the Zoom link, we need you to log in so we can give you access and a password, because we got hacked on our very first activity, and I had to clamp down on everything so that we wouldn't get hacked anymore. So, and I didn't do a show yesterday because it was tax day. Some things take priority. I hate tax day. I hate taxes. Anyway, but it has to be done. So we didn't do a show yesterday. So yesterday was a terrible day off. But yeah. But today, we got Jennifer on, 6 o'clock, talking Kanban. That's going to be a fun discussion. Now I want to talk about transitioning. So my neighbor, and this is why I was late, because I was listening to the story. And I'm like, oh my God, I can help this company so much if they really wanted to. But they went from a Kanban to Scrum. So there's Agile accountant. I'm not even going to call them an Agile coach, because they're not. They're an Agile accountant that comes on and says, well, we need to redo this. Probably one of those Fortune 2 consulting firm. We need to do this. And I was like, oh God, what do they do? Because I'm going to tell you this. The systems, whether it be Azure, Jira, Rally, version 1, whatever it is, the data, the stories, the tasks that are in there are database elements, are rows in the data. The difference between Scrum and UI, when the software is about a user interface, a different way of looking at your backlog. And what this person did, which I would never do to a company, is they decided, and these always people do this without talking to people like myself who've done this. I want to say hundreds, if not thousands of times. And they go, oh, well, we just need to set up a whole new project, a whole new team in the system. And we need to take all the backlog and transfer everything into this new project and forget the old stuff. I'm like, no, don't ever do that. If you're going to listen to me on one thing and one thing on, do not take your backlog from one project or one thing is tracking it, and you're to call it a project. I think in Rally they call it a team, whatever, and move it to a new team because you're going from Kanban to Scrum. Do not ever, ever, ever do that. If you do that, your people will hate you, right? They're going to put little pictures on the wall of you and throw darts at it, right? Oh my God, it's so stressful, Greg. I don't know, that's the way they used to do it, right? So what is going on is that all you're doing in Scrum and Kanban in your system is changing your user interface. It's just a different way of displaying the data. By moving it all over, your old boards and your old stuff that you had for Kanban won't work anymore, which is what you don't want. Because sometimes you want to be able to show the transition. Here's what it looks like. Here's going to look like. When I do it, in fact, I use Kanban and Scrum boards for the same backlog all the time. Tells you where all my level is at versus their level, right? So depending on what I want to look at, what interface, what information I want to gather from the backlog or movement of the backlog, I use different ones. I'll use a Kanban interface. I'll use a Scrum interface, depending on what the situation is. But don't ever, ever take the information from one project and move it into a new project because you're changing the way you're operating your framework. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because it doesn't matter to the system, right? And it gives you a chance to transition, gives people an idea to look at what it is. And it's the same data because in their mind now, it's a whole different backlog. No, it's not. It's the same backlog. And when you do that transition, you make people go down rat holes. And then makes it different. And also, you confuse the crap out of everyone because they knew what it was for a while. They kind of know the numbers. They kind of know the names. By changing things around like that, you drastically change that and you got to re-educate all that. So now not only, and here's a big thing, my opinion, between Scrum and Kanban, it's a different way the team organizes and communicates with each other and how it flows, right? So if I'm just moving the UI, all I have to do is now coach on interaction and flows, right? Flow of work, interaction of people. When I just move the whole project to another thing and lose track of the old, now I not only have to teach backlog, what is your backlog and what it is, and readapt to where things are and everything, and what their naming conventions are and all that, and the numbering schemes and all that kind of gets in people's brains, on top of the interaction as a team, the flow of work. So now I added more administrative training overhead to the transition, which doesn't need to happen. Now, if there's a conversation, we can talk another thing about your backlog so old, we got to do this. Sometimes you need to do that, but not in the middle of doing deliveries, right? It's not going to help anything, and it's going to make things worse. So all I want to say is that going from one system, whether it be from Kanban to Scrum, Scrum to Kanban, all you're doing is changing the UI interface with how people see the work, right? It's all you're doing. Do not change the work and new projects and move the backlog and do all this fancy stuff. Just turn it on. Just say, like in Jira, you have a backlog. There's a project XYZ. Show me it in Kanban. And then you figure out your columns, right? What your things you want to do. Then in Scrum, you say, show it to me in a Scrum look. You're still going to have the Kanban-like Scrum board, plus you're going to have some sprint buckets, which are time boxes. How much stuff you fit in that time box? But it's the same backlog. It's the exact same backlog. And I just wanted to share that with you. Please don't do that. Please don't do what that person did and that agile accountant that came in and said, you know what, we're just going to scrap everything and we're just going to put a whole new interface and a whole new backlog and renumber everything so there's total confusion of what's there and stuff like that. No, don't do that. The same process you need for either one. If you need to clear the backlog out, you need to clear the backlog out, whether it be Kanban or Scrum. It doesn't matter. So anyway, wanted to share that with you today because that was a hot off the press story and it tied in with our meetup today. So if you are thinking about doing that, feel free to message me and I'll give you some tips and tricks, but do not go create a whole new project. And I've seen a bunch of people do that. And a lot of times they'll do it. They just say, well, I'm just going to come on. No, you don't need to do that. The system can handle it. Just change the UI interface. Keep the data where it is. Don't move it. Don't create a whole new project. Don't create another layer of stuff on top of the old stuff. And then you're bringing that old stuff into the new one. And don't do it. Don't. Please don't do it. That's all I ask. Anyway, I went on a little rant. I want to wish you all the best. I hope you can make it tonight's meetup. Should be a good session. We will record it. We'll see how good I am. I think I wrote everything down. I got to find my sticky. I have a sticky. It gives me all my instructions. Hope I didn't lose my sticky. On how I want to set it up so that it should work much better than it did before. So hope to see you tonight. Remember, Jennifer Steelman, she's going to be here for our 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Meetup.com. And register for the Meetup.com so then you'll get some notices when we do have events. We are going to change that. That is coming. I just had to get through taxes and do some other stuff. So that had to take priority. But we are on the process of revamping and adding more stuff. So we're not really taking away the old stuff. We're just laying on new layers of value to what we do. So with that, have a great day. Happy Scrumming, enjoying. I'm sorry SpaceX didn't get the launch, but I don't know. They keep moving the date. It's either going to be tomorrow or Friday or Monday or Sunday. I don't know. They'll figure it out. Have a great day. Take care. Bye. And see ya.